Okay, we're going to call to order the Zero Waste Subcommittee meeting on July 20th at 2:02 p.m. First item is roll call. All four members are here. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Ward, a second by Commissioner Sacco to adopt the agenda. All right, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed?
Did you have to take public comment? No, okay.
Not for adoption of the agenda. All right, motion passes 4-0. Next item is approval of the minutes. Is there a motion or any discussion on the item?
Move approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Ward, a second by Commissioner Sacco to approve the minutes. I'd like to go out to the public and see if anybody wants to call in and discuss this.
If any members of the public would like to call in to comment on the approval of minutes, you can dial the following number, 312-626-6799. And the meeting ID is 895-8262-3536. And the numbers are also available on the city's website on the meeting calendar. I don't see anyone waiting currently.
All right, no one in chambers. All right, all those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Any opposed? Say nay. Motion passes 4-0. All right, next item is the green procurement policies. You taking the lead on this one?
Yeah, I'll start it off. We have Doug Dryman from General Government and James Frampton from GRU here today to answer some questions. They went ahead and made some changes to the general procurement policy, which you have in your backup. They have a paragraph there, and they're here to answer any questions that you might have or any comments you have today on that or any other guidance.
So I do have a question. I see the green procurement policy, and I was looking at that. It just has GRU on that. Is that the one for both general government and GRU, or?
Right, that's the one you guys.
I didn't see one for general government.
Yeah, it's the same one.
Same one, okay. So I guess if you don't mind just kind of walking us through the areas that are kind of the green areas, and what are you doing to help move us towards zero waste as part of a procurement policy?
Maybe you guys want to come up and kind of discuss some of the things that you've enacted in your sides, and then we can kind of move on.
All right. Well, my name is Jim Frampton. I'm with GRU Procurement. I'm the procurement manager. Let's see here. Some of the things that as far as according to this policy, or just things that we've had in place already, or
I think the things that are actual policy that is either in place now or going to be put in place.
Okay.
As part of I guess it's section 14. Is that the
Section 14, it's a new section.
Okay.
So basically, this is what we've agreed to start doing as far as in doing a sustainable purchasing section in the policy. But we have all along had, and there's two other attachments to this. We've had all along, we've had some administrative guidelines on purchasing of on green purchasing, as far as, you know, the lighting and the paper and all that kind of stuff. We've had that all along, but we never had it in an actual policy.
Okay.
Okay, and we also have another attachment on the agenda as far as it talks about plastic bottles for GRU, which is it's the 201, 203D, and then 201, 203E on the attachments. And both of those are things we currently have going as far as in sustainable purchasing. And now what we're doing here is actually making it part of the policy to work toward more sustainable purchasing on everything we buy.
Okay, and then those two other things, are those also for general government as well, or does general government have different policies?
Actually the attachments, that the administrative guideline attachments, they're only GRU, but they have their own attachment also, and I'll let Doug bring that up. But the policy will be for both.
Okay.
Okay, we have one policy.
Oh, so we're moving towards one policy, but you don't have that one policy yet. Is that correct?
We have we don't go into detail in the policy because it's for both, but we do have the administrative guidelines that go right along with the policy. I mean, they're in line with the policy, and
Okay.
and of course we continue toward more sustainable purchasing, but we just put it in policy form also now for both areas. Doug, you want to talk about yours?
Good afternoon, Doug Drummond, General Government Procurement Manager. And as already alluded to by Mr. Frampton, as one of your backup items, you have our administrative purchasing program that was adopted several years ago when Mr. Lyons, our former city manager, was in charge. And that goes into a considerable amount of detail in terms of various items that were the various general government departments were encouraged to look at in terms of procuring supplies and various products. Again, we, just like GRU, fall under the same procurement policy that is adopted by the City Commission. It applies to us in the same way. Our administrative procedures, follow the policy. And so with the adoption of this new section into the City Commission policy, we feel that this will basically tie the two together in a more stronger sense than currently has been the case. So while administratively, of course, general government departments are encouraged to follow that, this, we think, will put more teeth into actual procurement by the general government departments. And I think that is important to stress to the four of you because unlike GRU, our procurement is decentralized. So anything basically above $50,000 usually comes through our office. However, below that, and that's a significant amount of purchases, those basically are handled by the general government departments themselves. So I hope that answers your question, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Sacco?
Yes, so just one question because I think I'm still not clear on it. Or maybe I'm just slow today after yesterday. Will general government and GRU have two mirror policies on sustainable procurement? Or will there be one overarching sustainable procurement policy?
If I understand you correctly, we have one overarching general policy that's adopted by the City Commission.
Okay. And it'll
You
apply.
good folks, that covers both equally with no difference. The difference comes because they're decentralized, we're decentralized, they're centralized procurement. Our administrative procedures differ to some extent. So we fall under the same overall policy adopted by the City Commission, same rules and regulations, but our administrative procedures and policies may differ slightly to take into account the difference in the way the procurement is handled.
Thank you very much, sir.
And just on that same route, and I'm just so I understand, so there's the one policy, and then GRU and general government then create guidelines for each side, and those could differ, but that's just how it's viewed to be able to move forward on implementing those policies. Is that correct?
I think that is a correct statement, yes.
So so the section 14 that's in here, that is what you all are recommending that we make an amendment to or your language, you're saying that we could make as an amendment to the City Commission's or the city's purchasing policy. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
And that will apply to both.
So I do have a question on the single-use plastics and styrofoam and other things like that. So should be voted so I guess one of the things that at our city employee events, there's always styrofoam and other things like that. Will this stop that from happening?
So there was a separate item that the city attorney was working on for the distribution of polystyrene and single-use plastics on city property. So I think that would address that. Obviously, we could add that to any policy that we adopt.
I personally think that probably should be a part
Yeah.
of our purchasing policy if we're purchasing it. I do think we should have something in there. And I don't know if it's, maybe it's in one of the other purchasing other sections of it, that these could be waived in emergencies and stuff like that. There are times where we may need to
Right.
waive those.
Okay.
I see some more lights that have popped up. Commissioner Commissioner Sock.
Thanks. So I kind of agree with that. So I don't know if it would have to really sit in the attorney's office for that long, because we're not prohibiting its use to the public. It's an internal decision to not purchase these materials unless an emergency arises. So I find that incredibly feasible to just tack on, like, we don't purchase ahead in bulk these materials and store them to regularly use. We will procure them if there is an emergency that calls for it. But otherwise, I think it should stay as part of this, where, you I don't know if you have coffee machines, stations, whatever, like, don't buy plastic water bottles for the office, don't buy styrofoam cups for coffee, and we just don't, and that trickles down to all the departments and the general government side.
Right, and one of the things I want to address is like the soda machines and things
Yeah.
like that.
Okay, yeah, that was all. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So following on that line, it's been frustrating, frankly, trying to get that one thing done for quite a long time. That seems like it ought to be relatively straightforward. And speaking for myself, if we could just accomplish that one thing, it would feel like an enormous victory.
Okay.
Because we started talking about styrofoam, what, 3 years ago or more?
Please. Further than that, when we started talking about the green purchasing policy.
Yeah, and it just isn't, it should not be a surprise to anyone who follows the city commission that we've been trying to cut down on use of expanded polystyrene for a long time. And if we could get that done just for city purchases, it would feel like an enormous win. So, thank you.
So, I think we'd like to, it sounds like the committee would like to have some stronger language in
Okay.
terms of that, and then to bring that back. And I guess to your point on the vending machines, we used to have at least recyclable metal, and then we moved to single-use plastic a couple years ago. So would that be captured in this as well, or do we need to?
We could probably tweak it enough to, get that in there, I
Okay.
think. All right, good.
And then I guess the other thing that's on the GRU guidelines was the water, plastic water bottles, when there is readily available city water. I think it'd be good. We don't have that on general government. Is that correct?
I think that's correct, right, Doug? We don't have that water bottle requirement like GRU does.
Within the administrative
Yeah,
procedures?
yeah.
Yes, I believe it is.
Oh, okay.
I don't have it with me, but I believe it is addressed.
Okay, we'll double check that.
Okay. Yeah, if you don't mind bringing that back again. Was there any other things on this? All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. I guess we'll open up to the public. If anybody would like to discuss the green procurement policies for the city. I'm gonna put the number out there.
I will repeat the number again. If anyone is listening on Zoom and you'd like to call to share a comment, this is the number you should dial. It's 312-626-6799. And the ID number is 895-8262-3536. There is no one currently waiting to speak.
All right. Anybody in chambers would like to chat about this? All right. Seeing none, we will move on to the next item. The next item is moving the Zero Waste Subcommittee meeting to the conference room downstairs. What does the committee want to do? We can stay here. We can move down there. And this, yeah, I have no preference. I don't know if
Mr. Chair, downstairs, we can see each other downstairs without having to turn sideways. That's, again, there are reasons to be here for some meetings, for what this room is, and there are reasons to be downstairs to look at each other and get work done.
All right.
So I would prefer to be down there.
Commissioner Sacco?
Sure, okay. What do you guys prefer?
I like a smaller room.
Okay, there we go. Is that okay? Okay, then I'm good with that one.
All right. All right, so, Madam Clerk, if you don't mind, noticing our next meeting is for the conference room downstairs.
Yes, we will. Thanks.
Thank you so much. All right, next item is a solid waste ordinance update.
Okay, I'm told that the clerk's gonna have the PowerPoint.
Yes, I'll have it up shortly.
Okay. Fantastic. Go ahead, go on to the next slide. Okay, so as you know, we've been meeting pretty regularly and kind of working toward this moment where we can take a look at making some changes to the solid waste ordinances here in the city of Gainesville. So the areas that we've been talking about and the areas that we're addressing today are multifamily residential service, the mandatory commercial recycling ordinance, food waste and organics, special events, and then we also have included some changes for your consideration that deal with some of the basic operations and litter and frequency, and then just some, we cleaned up the ordinance a little bit and we've made some changes to that. All right, next slide. Okay, so one of the things that we've done is in the ordinance, the multifamily is called commercial collected residential. So that confuses people, so we just wanted to kind of go in there and change that term to multifamily residential, so it's more clear to people. And one of the things that we want to do as far as service is concerned with multifamily residential is to increase the minimum service at multifamily communities that don't have the compacting dumpsters. And the reason for this is that we feel it's important to move that garbage more frequently. Sometimes there'll be a backlog because somebody moves out or a couple people move out. So we want to be able to move that material more quickly, and we think that will help that situation. And then also in the ordinance, we've put a date in for the food waste diversion, as we've discussed here in previous meetings. We're requiring that the recycling be as convenient and accessible as the garbage is. Adequate recycling service is important that we've noted in the community. We think that will also get better with the exclusive franchise. We're going to require posting of recycling that can be readable and is replaced when needed. And then another key component is the distribution of the recycling information. Tenants will be given that information upon occupying the apartments and condos, and then they'll also see an annual update on that too. So that'll be good for education. And I can see us, in the future providing additional stories for folks in the communities. Next slide.
If you don't mind holding for one moment,
Sure.
Commissioner Sacco.
So I was gonna wait, but then you mentioned condos. So I keep looking at multifamily for the definition,
Yeah.
and I want to make sure that where is it? The, in a building with 5 or more dwelling units, or, units in buildings with 2 to 4 dwellings, so that would be a condo by that definition.
No, okay, so it's basically based on the service type. So if it's a quadruplex, it generally gets curbside service. If it's 5 or more, it generally gets dumpster service. We do have some, allowances for exemptions in that, but that's essentially where it's coming from.
So where do you capture the condos?
Oh, and that for five plus would be
Okay.
condo, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and I guess my question is, in terms of the distribution of recycling information,
Yeah,
condos are usually, individually owned.
right.
Does that compulsion fall upon the landlord of the condo or the HOA?
It would probably fall upon the HOA, but we probably should clarify that a little bit in the ordinance.
I ask, because
Yeah.
I'm in a condo where
Yeah.
nobody knows how to recycle.
No, that's a good point. A lot of times our focus is on rental properties, but I think that's a good point. So we'll go back and take a look at that too.
Thank you, sir.
All right, continue.
Okay, and then we have the mandatory, and this is essentially the commercial part of it. One of the things that we had previously discussed is some of the wording in our ordinance. If someone didn't have a full 15% of a certain item, they necessarily didn't need to recycle that. We've changed that language so that if there's 15% of our designated recyclables in that waste stream, they have to recycle. We've added some flexibility and an ability to designate recyclable materials. As time comes and markets change, we may want to add or subtract items based on the recyclability and the prevalence in the waste stream. We've also tightened up the construction and demolition where they would have to recycle cardboard as part of that process. And then we've added some exemptions to the mandatory recycling ordinance for just for some clarification. Okay, next slide. So food waste and organics, obviously we've talked a lot about that. We added a definition for food waste, and we've also added the organic materials definition in case we need it in the future, and also to delineate between which is which. We have a start date of 1/22 for the food waste diversion ordinance. As we said before, all restaurants, food processors, grocery stores, we're going to assume that they have enough food waste to divert or compost, and then we have the mandatory 1 cubic yard of food waste per week section in there. We have some flexibility for the start date that will fall upon the city manager. We know that, as we've often talked about the chicken and egg here, we know that if we get the ordinance in place, we can use, infrastructure will come, but in the meantime, we want to be able to use the infrastructure that is there. We have our community composter Beaten Path who has capacity. We have Life Soils that's looking to move to Alachua County, so we want to have some flexibility there. And then, of course, we got the food waste diversion hierarchy. And also, what didn't make the slide is we want to implement a food waste collector registration similar to our recycle collector registration. And the idea behind that is, one, that we know where the food waste is going, but also that we can avoid any scammers, if you will, people that are trying to take advantage of the situation, get around the exclusive franchise and things like that. All right, next slide.
One question? Commissioner Sacco.
Okay, go ahead.
So it might be more of a question for legal than for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if we have anyone.
I think
on
Catherine
board.
Mokler's on here. Or was.
I'll just
Yeah.
talk,
Put your question
and
out there,
if
yeah.
somebody wants. So it's more of a drafting concern than a substance concern. So under Division 3, commercial and multifamily recycling, as I was reading through this very long document, I realized that the food diversion is under the recycling, and I wasn't sure if that was entirely appropriate, given
Right.
that it's not recycling, it is diversion of food,
Yeah.
food and then food waste.
Yeah, that was done by your lay staff, so our attorneys will fix all of that.
Okay, yeah, so I was fine with that, and then when it comes down to, so the special event, I think, was it under special event that there was also like a food reduction? Yeah.
Yes.
There's also food diversion, so it was oddly meshed, where I don't think it'll be the most accessible or readable for the person who's trying to comply.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, that's good feedback. I think, like I said, as attorney kind of massages that, I think we'll be in a better situation. Yeah.
That's my pro bono work. But yeah, that just struck me as odd. Like, this is not
Yeah.
the place to put it, and if I were searching by title, that's not where I would find it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good point.
Okay, thank you.
Continue. Thank you.
Okay, next slide. And then, of course, we've been talking about special events. Staff has been working with all the different departments that are involved with the special events and the new event permitting process. So we've been providing feedback in that, and they'll, when people have events, they'll be able to fill out the form and they'll address solid waste in there. But we also wanted to go ahead and put some stuff into the ordinance. We defined the special event permittee, equal number of recycling and garbage containers, receptacles next to each other, And then we're going to require at least that they recycle bottles, cans, and cardboard. And then obviously we'll look at each event specifically to determine if food waste needs to be diverted. And then and if an event that they do divert that, they got to use the compostable bags. Next slide. And then this is some of the more cleanup stuff that we're looking to do. We want to avoid these open dumpsters that we have a lot around town, which emit odors. One of the things that we want to allow is specifically dumpster sharing. We have a lot of small quantity generators that are kind of avoiding the law. We want to give them an opportunity to be in compliance and not have a significant cost burden on that. So if they can make an arrangement with a neighbor, we're okay with that. We're going to have minimum standards, as we discussed before, for labeling our containers for recycling and organics. We'd like to make the Sunday collection of garbage a little more open in our ordinance. We see, and the same thing with increasing the collection for restaurant, bars, and grocery stores. We got a lot of issues with it, and I know you're all very familiar with it, with garbage that is in town from Friday to late Monday. We feel that if we can get a Sunday collection on a day after a football game, that can make a difference here in town. And additionally, we're seeing a lot of garbage pile up at bars and restaurants because they're trying to get the minimum amount of service that they can by mandating the 4 times a week. You can get that, that smelly food out of the way and especially deal with those surges in service during the weekends. Next slide. And then just some general housekeeping, fixing the terms of the cart sizes. We redefined trash to something that's a little more contemporary. We changed will with shall. And then we've added some residential service exclusion text just in case we wanted to provide an exemption to someone. And then there was a couple other commercial franchise verbiage in there that was kind of outdated. And that's where we are today, so appreciate your comments and questions.
Yeah, thank you. So wanted to see if the committee was okay with this. This is a pretty big, almost pretty much the accumulation of everything we've been working on. My thoughts were that we spend the next 2 weeks for us to take deeper dives into it, but we'll also have a couple weeks for our neighbors and community groups to be able to look at it, and they could give their feedback as well. I think we could use today to ask questions, also bring up things that are clear things that we want changed, but maybe in a couple weeks we can come back with a heartier discussion of it if the committee is okay with that. And maybe we could also have our PR send out a thing saying, hey, we have a draft ordinance. Please, if you have feedback, let us hear it too. Commissioner Ariola.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point to raise, Mr. Chair. And it may even behoove this committee to advertise one of our next meetings as sort of a town hall meeting. We have our meetings, people can come and participate. But I agree with you. We need to get a lot of, we need to make a really concentrated effort to get the word out. Because we haven't worked on this for so long. And one of the biggest frustrations I think we all feel is when we spend months and months and months and months and months talking and working on policy issues, only for 2 people to come in and say, slow it down, and then it actually does get slowed down. So let's give everyone the opportunity to come in and have their say in due course before of course, we make the final decision. Because, we never know what will be added or taken from it as we go in,
So I guess could we have a motion to ask our communications departments to maybe put out some extra information on this meeting and also share this solid waste ordinance draft and asking for the public to give feedback on it? Or do you think we should have our discussion first and kind of iron out some kinks and then, okay. So I guess we'll spend the next 2 weeks if there's neighbors there are community groups and neighbors who are actually following all these meetings. So I think, and then after that, in 2 weeks, we can try to make some changes, and then we can kind of take it from there on having I think that's a great idea of having a town hall and saying, here's the ordinance we're considering. It's pretty close to being finalized, but let us hear what your thoughts are. I think it's a great idea.
If I may also, there's probably a lot
of
there's probably a lot of people who really are wonky on these things and want to participate and share with us their ideas. So I mean, I say we just start sort of getting the word out now. I mean, it's gonna be on the next meeting agenda anyway.
Yeah. Commissioner Ward.
So yeah, we can do a two-step approach where we do a soft launch. You know, reach out to folks who really think wonky about this stuff, and deal with that on the 3rd, and then the next meeting can be promoted more as a town hall. Here's what we've been working on, community. Here's who's weighed in on it, because by then other folks, other than, you know, those who already have, will have had some things to say, and we'd love to hear your thoughts. So it's a two-phase rollout, essentially.
I think that's a good idea. Yeah, I do think that though that it's probably not going to be able to get back to us 2 weeks after. If we have changes and stuff like that, yeah, it might be a month after our next meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then we can, but yes, I think that's a great idea of doing that two-step approach. Yeah. All right, are there any questions on kind of the specifics or things on this, or other points that there are?
No, I think I got it.
If you want to bring up some,
I'll
I
watch
have
the
some
video.
already, but I was, yeah. I don't know.
I think I got everything. If not, you know, we'll follow up.
Okay. All right. Appreciate all the hard work. It's
Thank you.
I'm excited about us moving forward with this.
Yeah.
I think we're very close. I think it's just some minor tweaks and we'll be there.
I agree.
Very good for lay people.
All right. So we will open it up to the public for public comment on this item. If you have any thoughts on the solid waste ordinance, please speak up now.
If anyone would like to call into the Zoom line for public comment, I'll repeat the number one more time. It's 312-626-6799. And the meeting ID is 895-8262-3536.
All right. There's none there, Marie?
No one right now, thank you.
Okay. All right. Seeing that, we will have a discussion in a couple weeks. And just out to the public, if you have any thoughts on the solid waste ordinance, please come to that meeting, send an email to us, and let us know your thoughts on it. All right, we'll move on to the next item, which is updates on the zero waste initiative. So I asked staff to kind of, as we're trying to pare things down, tie out kind of where we are on our outstanding issues, if there's any things that are kind of missing to bring up. But do you want to start us on that, Mr. Himbuck?
Yeah, and just like you said, just when Marie can get that slide up, I think you have it in your backup anyway. So yeah, just an opportunity to kind of get in front of you guys to talk about the things that we're still working on and make sure we're not missing anything that you think is important. The construction and demolition portion of the solid waste ordinance has been delayed. It's been a little more complicated than we maybe originally thought between the permitting process and determine the best way to handle those fees, whether it's a deposit, whether it's a penalty fee. So we're going to keep working on that with sustainable development. They've obviously been busy with the comp plan, and we've been busy with the other stuff. So we're going to come around and get to that. The polystyrene and single-use plastic ordinances is under final review with the city attorney. Our discussion of litter in the city we want to continue. Right now, our staff is finalizing the data of trash that we've collected in certain areas, and we've also recently added the Adopt the Street program in there to get a better perspective of that. And then the plastic, confetti, and glitter ban is also in final review with the city attorney.
Are there any questions or anything that's missing or things that I think we're getting there? I think it is a lot. We've done a lot.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you all your time and everything.
Yeah, truly. It's really appreciated.
And of course, we'll come back with the purchasing stuff too soon.
Okay, perfect. Commissioner Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I don't want it to go without saying that I recognize that, that we have met more often and,
Yep.
and with much more volume than the average subcommittee. And
Appreciate
I
that.
appreciate, you know, you all stepping up to it. It's important work, and I know that the community appreciates the work that you put in on it, so thank you.
I appreciate that. Now, I'll point out Tom Strickland, when he came on board, he's been a big help in making this happen, so appreciate that too.
Commissioner Sacco.
Thank you, sir. So you guys are amazing. This is probably the most fun I have in this job.
Good.
It's because I feel we're actually gonna do something. So thank you for making my week more bearable.
You're welcome.
I do have a question, Mr. Chair. Do we have a sunset date? Do we know what it is?
Yeah, but we can't share that with you.
Okay, that's fine. Bully the only girl, that's fine.
So it's given till November,
Oh, okay.
but will likely be done by September. But
September's like
You might actually
40
get done
days
on
away.
time. I think September we actually might be finished.
Pretty
So-
close.
So, yeah, just checking, is that enough time? Because you do have a lot more stuff on here that needs data.
Yeah.
Not even an ordinance.
I feel like the C&D ordinance is going to take a while, the part of it. But, you know, as we said, a lot of that's already getting recycled right now. And I think the county's actually kind of coming around with maybe doing something at their eco-industrial park. So we can kind of, you know, I don't know that it's a time, you know, imminent thing that we need to really get through. I think sometimes the market will kind of,
Okay, we have until November, so
Yeah,
we can
yeah.
figure out then. I just
yeah, we'll figure it out.
I wanted to make sure you guys had enough time because we've made good steps on this, but then there's still stuff that is data.
Yeah, I mean, the litter thing, when we come back with the litter information, it's going to be pretty comprehensive, and I think we can get some good direction from you guys at that time. And that's either going to be in a month, you know, a month from now or something. It's going to be soon. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions from the committee? Any questions from staff or clarifications that you need from us?
No, we're good.
All right. With that, we will, what do we have next? Public comment, okay. Is there any public comment on stuff that we're not talking about, that we didn't talk about today?
We don't have any callers waiting
Okay.
virtually right now.
Move it back to member comment. No member comment. All right, our next meeting date is August 3rd, and we will be discussing just the solid waste ordinance. Is that correct? Are there other, I guess maybe the green purchasing policy, bringing back some changes on that. That doesn't seem like too,
Yeah, and I'm going to update you on the food waste pilot at some point. You want
Okay.
to do it that next time? Well, maybe we do it next time too. Yeah.
okay. And then I guess we'll see if the attorneys are done by then too or not.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, with that, we are adjourned.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.